Level 1. The respectable. We have to start at level 1 with the respectable, but don't let the name fool you. In the world of high IQ ball striking, these are the heavy hitters. If you grew up watching the Premier League in the 2000s, you know that specific sound. That violent metallic thud of the laces connecting with the dead center of the ball. This level isn't about fancy curves or physics-defying wobbles. It's about pure, unadulterated kinetic energy. These guys didn't try to outsmart the wall. They tried to delete it. Take Steven Gerrard. His free kick style was basically just an extension of his long-range shooting. He relied on a massive backlift and a rigid locked ankle. When he struck the ball, his body weight was so far forward that he'd often land on his kicking foot. That's a one-to-one energy transfer from his quads into the leather. He finished his career with 10 Premier League free kick goals, mostly rockets clocked at over 115 kilometers per hour. Then you have Frank Lampard, the king of the dry strike. Lamps hit the ball so cleanly that it stayed low and actually picked up speed as it skipped off a wet turf. His 9 Premier League free kick goals were built on a low trajectory philosophy that gave keepers zero time to adjust their feet. And I have to mention Paul Scholes. While he's the king of the volley, his layoff free kicks were pure ballistics. The logic at level 1 is simple: velocity over variety. These guys sit here because they relied on a high-force style that required the keeper to blink or the wall to flinch. It was effective, but it was honest. If you actually got your hands on a Gerrard rocket, you saved it. The problem was, at 115 kilometers per hour, your brain couldn't even send the signal to your hands fast enough. It's the rawest form of the strike, the foundation of everything that came next. Level 2. The craftsman. Moving to level 2, we leave the raw power behind and enter the world of the craftsman. This is where the free kick stops being a test of strength and becomes a high-stakes chess match. These players didn't see the defensive wall as a barrier. They saw it as a geometric puzzle to be solved. The logic shifts from raw, explosive force to efficiency and deception. At this level, you aren't just kicking a ball, you are manipulating the goalkeeper's expectations before the ball even leaves the grass. Andrea Pirlo is the undisputed professor of this tier. He shares the all-time Serie A record of 28 free kick goals, but the way he did it fundamentally changed the game. Pirlo was famously obsessed with Juninho Pernambucano. He spent countless hours at the Milanello training ground trying to decode how Juninho made the ball dance. In his autobiography, he admits to studying Juninho's footwork until he realized the secret, striking the ball with just the 3 outer toes while keeping the follow-through unnervingly short. This created what the Italians called the maledetta, or the ghost ball. This shot would rise over the wall and then dip so suddenly it looked like it was being pulled down by an invisible string. Pirlo wasn't trying to break your fingers with power. He was trying to make you dive for a ball that was already past you. It was pure psychological warfare. Then you have Zinedine Zidane, whose free kicks were all about the side foot whip. Zizou focused on placement over pace. Think back to his iconic goal against England at Euro 2004. He didn't smash the ball. He gave it just enough lift and bend to bypass the wall while the goalkeeper remained rooted to the spot like a statue. And we have to talk about Franz Beckenbauer, the man who brought the Außenriss, the outside of the boot strike, to the world stage. Der Kaiser was a tactical genius who realized he could bypass a wall by curling the ball around it using the outside of his foot, a move that defied every standard coaching manual of that era. These guys brought a massive tactical IQ to the dead ball. They'd stand over the ball with their hands on their hips, making the keeper guess which corner they'd pick, then deliver a shot so quiet and precise that the stadium often didn't realize it was a goal until the net bulged. Level 3. The artist. This is the stage of evolution where the free kick becomes visual. We're moving away from straight lines and into the realm of the Magnus effect. These players didn't just kick the ball, they forced it to travel on invisible curved rails. If you're looking for the icon of this level, it's David Beckham. With 65 career free kick goals and a Premier League record of 18 that still feels untouchable, Beckham turned a technical skill into a global brand. But look at the mechanics. It's fascinating. His standing foot would plant at an extreme angle, almost pointing away from the target, allowing his kicking leg to wrap around the ball like a whip. This generated massive RPM, rotations per minute. The ball would start 3 yards outside the post and hook back into the top corner. Goalkeepers knew exactly what was coming, but the curve was so wide they couldn't risk moving until it was too late. His 93rd minute strike against Greece in 2001 is the peak of this level. The pressure was suffocating. The whole country was watching, and he produced the exact same mechanical motion he'd practiced thousands of times. Then you have Michel Platini, the master of the short-range lift. In the 80s, balls weighed a ton, but Platini figured out how to snap them up and over a wall from just 18 yards, a distance where most players struggle to get the ball back down in time. And we can't forget Rivellino, who basically invented the power curve at the 1970 World Cup with his atomic kick. Level 3 is about the aesthetic of flight. These takers didn't just want to score, they wanted to paint a trajectory that looked impossible. They forced keepers to cheat toward the far post, only to beat them with surgical precision on the near side. Level 4. The nightmare. Now we're entering the zone where the physics of the game just stops making sense. These guys didn't just bend the ball, they basically glitched the software of football. They introduced variables into the game that no goalkeeper, no matter how elite their reflexes were, could actually calculate in real time. This isn't just high-level skill, it's about introducing total chaos into a structured game and leaving everyone watching, including the players, in a state of shock. The definitive example has to be Roberto Carlos. His 1997 strike against France, clocked at a staggering 137 km per hour, remains a pure scientific anomaly. By striking the ball with the outside of his 3 small toes, that legendary Trivela power strike, he created a trajectory so bizarre that French scientists actually had to write research papers to explain the aerodynamics of it. The ball started heading so far toward the corner flag that the ball boy actually ducked for cover, only for it to change its mind mid-air and snap back into the net. You don't defend that, you just witness it. Carlos proved that if you hit the ball with enough violence using the outside of the foot, the spin creates a high-pressure air pocket that makes the ball teleport back on target. Then you've got Ronaldinho, the man who played with a wall's psychology like it was a toy. He realized that as defenders became more disciplined and started jumping higher to stop those artist-type curves, the space underneath their feet became the ultimate vulnerability. His low free kick against Werder Bremen in the Champions League was a masterclass in tactical awareness. He waited for the wall to hit the absolute peak of their jump and simply rolled the ball under them. He made world-class defenders look completely lost just by exploiting the fact that they were doing exactly what they were coached to do. It was pure genius. And we can't forget Roberto Baggio. While Carlos used raw violence and Ronaldinho used trickery, Baggio used a soft-touch physics glitch. He could stand almost parallel to the ball, with almost no run-up, and still generate enough lift to clear a wall that was just 5 yards away. It looked like the ball was being lifted into the top corner by an invisible hand. For a keeper at level 4, there is no right answer. If you jump, Ronaldinho goes under. If you stay put, Baggio curls it over. If you stand in the middle, Roberto Carlos sends a missile that changes direction mid-flight. These guys turned the dead ball into a moment of pure anxiety for the defense. Level 5. The era definer. These players didn't just score goals, they changed how the game was played, how keepers positioned themselves, and how walls were built. They defined entire eras because they brought a level of mental dominance that made goalkeepers lose the battle before the whistle even blew. Look at Sinisa Mihajlovic. To this day, he is the only man in history to score a hat-trick of free kicks in a single Serie A game. Imagine that. 3 set pieces, 3 different techniques, 3 goals for Lazio against Sampdoria in 1998. He treated free kicks like penalties. Alongside him is Diego Maradona, the man who could score with almost 0 run-up. His famous indirect free kick for Napoli against Juventus, inside the box with the wall just a few yards away, is a defiance of physics. He didn't have space to lift the ball, yet he found a way to snap it into the top corner using pure ankle explosive power. But the man who truly hacked the modern system is Cristiano Ronaldo. Before him, the knuckleball was a rare party trick. Ronaldo turned it into a weapon of mass destruction. By striking the ball perfectly on the valve with a rigid leg and 0 follow-through, he eliminated all spin, causing the ball to vibrate and zag through the air due to vortex shedding. This is the tomahawk strike. His 2008 free kick against Portsmouth is arguably the most aesthetically perfect goal in history. The ball moves in 3 different directions in under a second. This style actually forced manufacturers like Adidas and Nike to rethink how they constructed ball panels to limit the wobble effect. That is the definition of an era definer. When these guys stood over the ball, the stadium fell silent. Keepers like David James or Oliver Kahn would start shaking their legs because they knew that even from 35 yards out, they were in the kill zone. It was a total psychosis. These players didn't just beat the keeper, they beat the material itself, changing the tactical meta of football forever. They made the impossible look like a daily routine. Level 6. The evolution. This is where we witness the most terrifying mechanical transformation in the history of the sport. We're talking about Lionel Messi. Now, what's fascinating about Messi is that he wasn't a natural-born free-kick specialist. In his early years at Barcelona, he was standing in the shadows of Ronaldinho and Xavi. But Messi did something no one else has ever done. He took a skill that usually feels like a glitch or a moment of luck and turned it into a repeatable, daily science. Look at the data from his peak. It honestly shouldn't be legal. Between 2017 and 2019, Messi scored more free kicks on his own than entire clubs like Real Madrid, Juventus, or PSG. Think about that. One man outproduced squads that cost $1 billion combined. He currently sits on 66 career free kick goals, but at level 6, it's not just the volume that's scary, it's the efficiency. To see this in action, you only have to look at his 35-yard masterpiece against Liverpool in 2019. The way he whipped that ball around the wall and into the top corner at the Nou Camp wasn't just a highlight, it was a statement. Or his strike against USA in the 2016 Copa America, where he literally picked the only millimeter of space Alisson couldn't cover. Messi perfected what experts call the sprained ankle technique. At the moment of contact, his standing foot tilts at a nearly 45-degree angle, which provides a surgical level of stability and allows his kicking leg to generate a sharper, more consistent curve. While players at lower levels rely on raw power or unpredictable wobble, Messi relies on mathematical certainty. He essentially turned the free kick into a penalty. He doesn't need to hit the ball at 130 kilometers per hour or make it dance in the air. He just places it in the 1 square inch of the net where the keeper physically cannot reach. And he does it with a success rate that defies every law of the sport. He is the final form of the evolution, the man who moved past the spectacle of the free kick and turned it into an automated goal-scoring machine. It's clinical, it's quiet, and it's inevitable. But even as the evolution, there is still one man who stands above him. The man who didn't just master the science, but became the ultimate master of the dead ball. Level 7. The specialist. Finally, we reach the absolute summit, and there is only room for one man at this table, and that is Juninho Pernambucano. If you want to understand the scale of this guy's dominance, you only need one number: 77 career free kick goals. That is the all-time world record, the final boss of the discipline. But what's truly insane about Juninho wasn't just the sheer volume of goals, it was the fact that he was a mad scientist who turned the entire opposition half into his personal laboratory. While everyone else on this list perfected a specific signature move, Juninho mastered every single technique known to man. He could hit a 40-yard knuckleball that changed direction 3 times, a clinical dip from 20 yards, or a Beckham-esque whip from the touchline. During his 8 seasons at Lyon, Juninho turned every opposition foul into a 50-50 scoring chance. Legends like Oliver Kahn and Iker Casillas were left completely helpless from distances where any other player would have been looking for a crossing target. He once unleashed a 40-yard rocket against Bayern Munich that hit the back of the net before Kahn could even finish his footwork to set himself. Juninho didn't just take free kicks, he industrialized them. In the 2000s, opposing managers gave a tactical instruction that sounds like a myth today. Do not foul anyone within 45 yards of our goal. Defenders would literally rather let an attacker go through one-on-one with the keeper than give Juninho a dead ball. He made the most difficult skill in football look as easy as a 5-yard pass. He is the only player in history whose right foot was more reliable than a laser guidance system. Every time he stood over the ball, you could feel the entire stadium hold its breath. It wasn't a question of if he'd hit the target. It was just a matter of watching the ball defy every bit of logic until it inevitably rattled the back of the net. Now, I want to hear from you. Out of these 7 levels, which one is your absolute favorite to watch? Are you a fan of the raw, lace-bursting power from the early levels, or do you live for the scientific perfection of Messi and Juninho? And which player or tactical glitch do you think deserves its own deep dive next? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm always in there reading and debating with you guys. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the science behind the strike, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next tactical deep dive. And if you're hungry for more football stories right now, click one of the videos popping up on your screen. Trust me, if you like this analysis, you're going to love those. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.